Hi, everyone. Such a beautiful group. People joining in from all over the world. Hi, Francis.
Hi, David. Hi, everyone.
So precious. I see you all just getting settled in here for this beautiful session, and we always like to have interactions and questions and answers as part of this closing session. So, and Francis and I joined just a little while ago. We had such a wonderful joining. We have such an awareness and appreciation for the depth, and it just brings up a wellspring of gratitude for the spirit for guiding so beautifully over these years, and just allowing us to move into a state of mind, which is really all any of us want. We just want a state of mind. We want peace. We want inner peace. We don't want a lot of things, but we really want that inner peace, and that's part of what we were talking about. And Francis was even sharing the lesson for the day. It was so impactful.
Yeah, lesson is I will receive whatever I request, and that is just such a powerful lesson to bring the power right back to our mind. You know, we're not at the mercy of what seems to happen on the screen, in the perceptual world, but we are the one that will receive, but also have received. We have received what we have requested, and we will receive whatever we request. So, yeah, I was talking with David this morning. Just the course is so striking, very, very striking when we read it, and sometimes there's like one or two sentences that just stays with me, and one of them is, if you want only to heal, you will heal. If you want only love, you will see nothing else. And the key word is the word only. So basically Jesus is saying there is no effort that is required, but what is required is the singularity of the desire. Whatever you want, whatever you request, that's what you receive. You know, nobody wants to receive pain, but we can be confused about what pain is, what we are asking. So to me, I was talking to David that it feels like the work is not so much to say that, yeah, I am, I want the spirit, but the work is always to purify the mind so much that is the only thing we want. The problem is that we want both. We cannot only want the ego, because who we are. It's impossible to want only the ego. Who we are determined that we want God. That is never going to change. But the problem is that we want, or we're confused that we want the opposite as well. That's where the mind is split. That's where the experience is split. That's where throughout the day there are miracles and there are joy, but there are so many other emotions that comes from the desire for the opposite, or the confusion. So really the whole journey is a purification, so that the spirit is our only desire, and that is truly who we are. That is truly who we are. That is where, once we identify ourselves with only that, that's where the Christ is born again. That's the theme of this month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we love your questions that you wrote in. Kai had written in about having all these desires and organic desires, and how do I shift to the single presence, really is what came out of all that was, how do I go from having multiple desires to desiring God above all else? Because Jesus tells us in the Course that's what creation is. Spiritual creation is single desire. And he says that in the Course many ways. He says the mind cannot create beyond itself, meaning the divine mind and spirit has divine creations that are also spirit. And that's what creation is. Spirit creates spirit, creates spirit. God is spirit. God creates Christ. The Christ idea is purely spirit. And then Christ, Jesus tells us, has creations. And so it seems like three layers there: God, Christ, and then creations with a small c in the Course. But they're all spirit. It's not complicated in that they're all eternal spirit. And he says, your eternal creations are waiting for you, waiting for me. How are they waiting for me? They're waiting for you to wake up and remember them as they exactly are. That's why they're waiting on you. You're sleeping. It's like your offspring is praying that you'll wake up so you can remember your offspring, your pure spirit offspring, you see. And how different that is from manifesting. I need to create a new job. I need to create a better career. I need to create a better family. I want to create a better environment. I want to create a better Mother Earth. What? Jesus is like, you don't understand creation if you think the projection changing involves creation. You don't even know what creation is. So Francis and I were really excited about that because, coming to this singularity is what all the mystics and saints were attempting. That's why they left all behind to live simple lives of devotion. And simple, wow, that's a good word too. Most of us are pretty adjusted and accepting of complexity. We've compromised too much. We've said, oh, I have to deal with so much complexity, but that's just the way life is. No, eternal life is not complex. Life is not complex. All complexity comes from the ego. And Jesus wants us to remember the simple truth of love. There's really nothing more simple than love. So Francis and I thought today we would just share a bit from our journeys because, we took a lot of the same steps. I know I kind of went through the spiritual smorgasbord I talked about quite a bit, and Francis had looked into some things too, and was very successful with education and business and in Australia. And then Jesus really got a hold of us. I mean, we got swept up into a devoted life that is so focused on the spirit that actually the distractions really fell away. They could not stand the light. The light was so bright that the distractions just fell away. And the thing I always remember from the Course was that Jesus said in the Course, you cannot bring the truth into the illusion. You have to bring your illusions, your beliefs, your thoughts to the truth. Bring the darkness to the light and the darkness disappears. Don't try to bring the light into the darkness. It will not work. And that's the message of A Course in Miracles. And the practical application of that is, don't even just stick to believing that the truth is in a book. Jesus says truth cannot be described or explained, only experienced. So the truth is not in this book. This book has words, which are symbols of symbols, twice removed from reality, that are like our beginning point. So don't think of yourself as going to be like, I'm going to be a 30, 40-year course student. No, Jesus doesn't need any more scribes and Pharisees in this age more scholars who just go around and argue about this passage and what the interpretation should be, like many course groups are doing. No, he's saying, no, that's not what it's for. Don't try to bring the book into your personal life. Don't try to bring this book into your partner, into your family, into your job, into your situation. Bring your self-concept beliefs about being a person, about having a career, about having a job, about having a partner, about having friends. Those are all beliefs. Bring all of those beliefs to me, and they will disappear. And what's going to be left is the Christ, is pure light, pure spirit. Don't try to water down the course and make it personal. Don't try to live a self-concept of just being a Course in Miracles student or a Course in Miracles teacher. That's far, far short of what this course is aimed at. This is a course in coming to know the truth of love and your identity as love. And, you know, for us, it's very practical. I came up here to Cincinnati, and I'm sitting in a room here in this house, and I first walked into this room 25 years ago, a quarter of a century ago. Much younger David walked into this room. It was kind of an abandoned house that had been used. They told me priests and nuns had lived in this house, and also in the house right in front of it, in a community that was called New Jerusalem. Some of you know Richard Rohr. He was here. He was in these houses before I got here. I never met him. He was just here. He was one of the priests and nuns that were here before me. I guess this building must be in the Jesus Christ Plan of Awakening property structure, because I got a handoff from a non-dual community that I didn't even know existed. But Jesus is like, yeah, you don't have to know the previous residents. Just know me. That's why it's in my plan to know yourself as the Christ. It's not about knowing people and knowing history. The funny thing is, when I walked into this house, and there's all kinds of miracles around how it seemed to come, and you got to go back and check it out on the Best Of series. We've got 25 years of Best Of, like the Truman Show, the Best Of Spiritual Awakening with David and Awakening Mind, Foundation for the Awakening Mind, Living Miracles, blah blah blah. But basically, here I am, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm just in this happy joy, just like when I first walked into this room for the first time. And now I'm doing a digital conference with all of you, a digital retreat, but it doesn't have anything to do with the place. It doesn't have anything to do with the location. It has nothing to do with the house. It's that I've been honestly bringing illusions to the truth, saying, I don't know who I am, show me, saying, lead me, guide me. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. This is your life to guide, Jesus. So you inspire me. And that's what Francis and I want to talk about, because even then, I had been dabbling a little bit in spiritual community, but over these last quarter of a century, for me, there's been symbols that have come to me that involved spiritual community, that if somebody had told me when I was a teenager that I would be involved with spiritual awakening and spiritual communities, I would have just said, what's that? I wouldn't even know what that is. What's that even mean? What is that? And same with Francis. Francis, you were raised basically as an atheist in Beijing, and you didn't have any conception at all of the spiritual journey, because your parents were more about the materialism, the material successes and education and everything. So you had, like me, no basis whatsoever. We weren't born with our feet walking on lotus petals like Siddhartha. We didn't have like a big star like Jesus had above the manger. and wise men showing up with myrrh and frankincense and gifts. We were just like regular babies and regular people. And now I can't even hardly talk about that. I start to laugh when everybody gets inside. I'm laughing when somebody's talking about this big drama, and I'm like, that doesn't relate to anything. It doesn't relate to my awareness anymore.
Yeah, even the movie yesterday, like two people, one is said to get married and the other one is to start a business, and they were from different parts of the world, and then they came together, very symbolic. When they're together, they can rest their mind, sleep, like in that movie, is kind of used as a symbol where they can truly rest their mind. When they join with each other, mind is at peace. That's always a sign of the spirit. The spirit guides us so that our mind started to relax and be at peace. But the difficult thing is, Jesus says you always decide first, then you ask. And that is very difficult, because once you have decided first and then you ask, you will always feel, even if you hear it doesn't fit into the frame of my own decision, then there's the resistance coming from the preconceived idea. So for these two in the movie, you could see that it's a very difficult or jolting, like this unwinding from what has already planned as their life direction for her, especially to unwind from relationship and self-concept, everything, to accept this very different direction. And I think that is really, a good summary of this spiritual journey. When Jesus really get hold of me, and I think in David's experience as well, it was a time where I know in my own case, I was at a point of wanting to know the direction for my life in general. And I was in Australia. I think actually, David, you and I arrived in Australia the same year. You've been visiting 7 consecutive years, and I've lived there for 7 consecutive years until I moved to the States. But it was like questioning, what is this all about? Now I'm in a different country. I settled in career, and is this, what is the direction? And I feel like everything is so falling apart around me in terms of my emotions. I felt, wow, why don't you tell me where I should go? And that was really the moment that the answer came in very, very loud, outside of my frame of even reference, where it's coming from. To me, it was like a voice from above in the sky telling me, stay here, wait, and wait for the big direction in your life. So I thought, okay, I will wait. And then I got into the course, and then I came to David's gathering, and I thought, wow, this is very, very different. This is a very different way of being, very joyful, and seems like very freeing. And then I heard also in one of the one-on-ones with David, Jesus came again in a voice saying that he is a living demonstration. You can trust him. And that was another point for me, just to, okay, then if you say so, that's what I'm following. There was no frame of reference, other than that simple and direct hearing that I got. And of course, there is something else, which is I really taste the transparency and the freedom of exposing private thoughts in retreats. Just like all of you yesterday and the day before, when you share so transparently, there was a relief. There is suddenly a relaxation. Oh my God, I don't have to hold it all to myself. And that's really my frame of reference, a new frame of reference from that point on is how do I feel? I want this freedom more and more. I want this sense of I'm being guided, and this sense that there is a happiness that I suddenly can get in touch with. It was very, very dim at the beginning, so fleeting, so dim, and yet as fleeting as it was a big contrast to my life experience for the previous 20 plus years. So it was very, very, very different. And I thought, okay, this is what I want, more and more of this. Then this journey truly it just became a journey of purifying the desire to want nothing but that. Every time when something else comes up, I want my way, I want things to be my way, I want my. Then this just a big purification, and I would say that coming to a community is a fast way of undoing that, because this is where you really truly can use each other as the mirror to flash up and see what is in the consciousness that is guided to be released and healed in this very moment. And I would say that this is not really the pathway I could envision, because I didn't really think, you can heal, you can be this intimate with people, and the closer you get, the deeper you get to reach together as a group. But it was truly through very simple and direct guidance that comes through when the mind is relaxed and having this little openness. It really doesn't take much. I don't think I was eager to listen, or I was desperate to listen. I was just kind of, any moment I feel there was an openness, Jesus came through pretty strongly. It's as if he was waiting and I was the one wandering around, and he like catch a moment, zoom through, catch my attention, zoom through. And then to the extent I'm willing to follow that, everything started to unfold from that point. So.
That's so beautiful. We were talking to this morning in the Course, Jesus says, it's not that you ask for too much, you ask for far too little. And what he's saying is that when you believe in the ego is a belief in limitation, and right away you perceive a limited identity, you perceive a limited world, you perceive scarcity and lack, you take hold of this crazy belief called reciprocity, which is under business. All business that's ever been throughout history involves exchange. I'll do this for you if you give me this. Exchange for goods and services, exchange for money for services or goods. That's the standard of time and space. It's reciprocity. And truth and reality and spirit have nothing to do with reciprocity whatsoever, because truth is one. There's not two, one to receive specifically and give specifically, and vice versa. There's just none of that in reality. So I think that's one of the things that I talk about a lot, is divine providence, of learning to pray and just listen and follow as you're guided in the prayer. And that is how you transcend reciprocity. You transcend this very deeply ingrained ego belief. And of course, everything that we've done, all of our learning in school, I mean, Francis and I were in school and university for many years. There's working in business. There's, in Francis' case, starting her own business. that's the formula the ego gives for how to succeed in the world. And Frances mentioned that on Friday. She was going to work hard for years and years, many years, save up money, build a nice big nest egg, and then retire and travel the world and see people. That was her plan. And for many people, they would say, "Oh, good plan. That's a good plan." But it got intercepted at some point by Jesus Christ, who's like, "No, no, you it's not that you ask for too much, you ask for far too little. I can give you all that and do it quite easily. There's no problem doing that, and you will enjoy it too, but you don't have to do the means that the ego has told you, and you don't have to do it for so many years and decades in order to finally do it when you retire before you die. We can do this much faster." It's the same for all of us. All we have to do is pray, listen, and follow. Instead of like the movie Eat, Listen, and pray, listen, and follow is the fast track to spiritual awakening. And that opens it up to this experience where everything is provided that you need in any given moment. And there's not a future orientation with it. You're not trying to do something for a future goal or a future outcome or a future end. So that's the beauty of this pathway. And I think with spiritual community, sometimes spiritual community seems to get a bad name, especially with Course in Miracles students and teachers. It's not, it kind of is the butt of jokes, and it's kind of talked about as like, oh, the wacky community people and everything like this. And then I look, well, that's true. Most mystics and saints are mainly thought of in more of an individual basis. We think of the Bible and the mystics, and like John the Baptist was kind of out all by himself, baptizing people and saying, "Repent, turn from your ways and turn to God." And then there's Isaiah and all the mystics and saints in the Bible. And then in India tradition, in China, there's mystics and saints. Mostly we think of them as kind of individuals that they're listening to the beat of a different drummer. They're tuned into some kind of frequency that the rest of the planet doesn't seem to care about. And they're like devoted to this frequency of spirit or God. And then you look at Jesus and all the undoings and forgiveness and unlearnings he went through before he went on his public mission. And then the interesting thing is, as soon as he goes on his public mission, he starts calling apostles. And then in the Urantia book, we read that it was more than just the 12 apostles. There was a women's corps. There was a group of women, maybe like 30 some women that were just answering the call to support Jesus and the apostles. So you have Jesus, you have the 12 apostles, you have the women's corps, and then it goes on to say in the Urantia book that they went on to call 100 messengers of the kingdom. So all in all, at the time of Jesus, in those 3 years of public teaching, Jesus and the apostles kind of got written into the Bible. And then there was a lot going on that got cut out of the Bible. They just cut the women's corps out. Oh no, they're ladies, they're women, cut them out. Oh, and then these other ones. But that was a community. That was a community. That's a bigger community than we've got. That was a thriving Christian community that were following the Christ, the presence of the Christ. And that presence was healing the sick, was raising the dead, was speaking words that were not from this world. Before Abraham was, I am. No, not a lot of people were saying that in history. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. Pretty rare, very rare, even more rare than Sully's water landing. is someone speaking those words on earth? Are you talking on earth? Someone is speaking, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. Whoa, Whoa. So basically, Francis and I were led into the symbol of community, just like Jesus and the apostles and the women's corps and the messengers of the kingdom all were guided in. Why? Well, they you can see it in St. Francis and the Franciscans. You can see it in Mother Teresa and her sisters. You can see it throughout history pretty rarely. But once you start to follow God, you want to have no thought that you think apart from God. You want to be guided every day in everything that you do. And it turns into a big collaboration. I have to be honest. Is it a business venture? Heavens no. Does it involve worldly success? Heavens no. Does it involve fame or popularity? Heavens no. Does it involve achievement and status? Heavens no. Does it involve collaboration? Oh, yes. When you live together with a group of people, you learn to listen and follow and collaborate. Because how else are you going to continue to live together if you can't get along? If you have no way of resolving the issues that arise, if you don't rely on prayer and guidance, then you know how it goes in the world. Breakups, divorces, people not speaking to each other for sometimes years or even decades, people who won't even look at each other, people who grumble and have grievances that rumble on for days or weeks or years. Oh, I can't be with this person and this and that. That's just how the ego works. So we're here to tell you that miracles are collaborative. Jesus says this in the Course, and he means it. Miracles are collaborative. Miracles are a collaborative venture. And it just means that whatever you had planned for your life in this world, maybe you had ambitions. Well, if you say, let thine eye be single, that prayer will wash away all of your ego ambitions. Maybe you had the belief that you needed to maintain interpersonal relationships, and we've talked a lot about that. And Eric and Jason and Lisa were talking a little bit about outgrowing the roles. You have to follow Christ, you have to outgrow all the roles of the past so you can be fully present. The ego doesn't like that at all because it's basing its future on its past reference point with family, friends, career, house, mortgage, all those things that people go through in time and space are all set up by the ego. But once you click into collaborative mode, then suddenly you need to pray and you need to just take whatever is given. And maybe, Francis, we can talk a little bit about this idea of support, because when I grew up, everybody told me get a good education, get a good job, get a good career, make a lot of money. And then when you have a nice nest egg and a lot of money, you can hire people to support you. There was no talk of supporting God, supporting spirit, supporting the awakening. That was not even spoken about throughout university. That was not spoken about in my life at all until I really felt the power of the spirit in me. And then I turned everything around and I said to Jesus, how can I support you in your plan of awakening? And then everything lit up. Everything totally lit up. But I had to first realize that I needed to be of support to Jesus. Jesus actually needed me in a state that wasn't fearful in order to be a miracle worker to help support the plan of awakening.
Yeah. Yes, like Jesus says, if you would be my miracle workers. He keeps talking about, you and I, meaning we and him. This is a collaborative effort, meaning that we're not able to fulfill this plan on our own because we have split desire. And that split desire is always going to misguide and misdirect. And that's why Jesus is there saying, you're not alone. We're doing together. As you heal, you will be healed. As you fulfill the miracles, you will be healed. Your mind would be healed. So this whole thing is about supporting Jesus and give ourselves over to Jesus. And I also gradually started to realize what a trick it has been to think that we are here in this planet Earth in order to achieve something for our own, take care of ourselves for our own. Because absolutely everything that we do, growing up, we're taught to do, life goals, everything is based on this idea that you need to take care of yourself and achieve something for your own. And this is such a fundamental distracting or disrupting idea of the ego that is almost impossible to flip, because once we still hold on to that, we do not see the spirit, we do not identify with the spirit, we just keep projecting onto every lack onto other people as if they're outside. And that's the biggest transfer for me to be able to see the spirit is to realize when I give, I receive. And that is a real experience. It's not a good concept, it's a real experience. And that is not even just to say, oh, I'm so glad because now I received. That's not even it. The joy is to realize that we are not separate. And that teaching itself comes through such a profound experience through giving. So that's why in this spiritual journey, Jesus is saying to have, give all to all. And how do you apply that on a daily basis? How do you really bring that down to the practical application? This is exactly why we need guidance, because Jesus said, I am going to direct you to give, and I'm going to direct you to serve, because I'm going to give you everything as you deserve as the Son of God, but you are the one who block yourself from receiving God's love. So I have to direct you to give to your brothers, and I have to, in that you will realize that everything that you want, you already have, and you have received. But that is actually through giving. It is actually through being guided to serve the Spirit to give. And there is absolutely no other way for the mind to truly receive that gift except collaboration and this attitude of giving in an everyday basis. And it's not even serving people. It's really not about serving people. It's about guided. So ultimately, it is serving the Spirit. Ask Him to direct us to perform miracles. Ask Him to direct us to serve God, serve this giant awakening that wakes up our mind. And that is the attitude, that washes away everything, that washes away lack, that washes away doubt, washes away suspicion, washes away unworthiness. When we are in the attitude of giving, we cannot feel small. It's impossible to feel small. It's impossible to feel weak when we are in the attitude of giving. But when we are in the attitude of wanting, we feel unworthy, we feel small, we feel lack, we feel victim. So this is what Jesus is promising. You will have everything. You will rise up as the Son of God. You will receive absolutely everything. That's why He was saying, you're asking for far too little. You're asking for far too little to want to be this little self and wanting to get from this world, accumulate personal things. So this is really our collaborative adventure together. We're waking up together, and not one single brother can be left behind, because it's total. We're either the spirit or the ego. We're either a body or one mind. There's no way, there's no in between there. If we are the spirit, if we're one mind, then we are serving God, and we're constantly extending the message of God and constantly giving each other, giving the Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think our perception of practicality shifts because we've associated practicality with meeting needs on the physical plane and all the logistics, and we all know that that's quite complex. Once you start to look at meeting needs of the body, meeting needs uh, of the ambitions of the ego, meeting needs, you get into needing money, you need a career. You can't just have a little money. You can't just have a job, you have to have a career. You can't just have a few coins jingling in your pocket. You need an investment profile. You need to have investments in what the world would say stocks and bonds and an income source, generating an income source. This is so opposite of what Jesus taught when he was here. You know, he said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all else will be added unto you. And then people try to come at him and say, well, you know, it's important to eat. And Jesus said, no, it doesn't matter what you wear or what you eat. I told you, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all else will be added unto you. But what about my family? I told you, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all else will be added unto you. What about my career? The kingdom of heaven, all else will be added unto you. That sounds like, it sounds so opposite to the world, because the world is all about preparation. Even when I was in Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts, you know, it was always prepare, always be prepared for the future. And then that gets into our movie. Lizzie was a planner, an event planner. And we're taught, plan for the future, store away for a rainy day, plan, plan, plan. Always put your mind on all the logistics. I have to tell you, ever since I just turned it around and I said, all right, Jesus, I trust you. What a surreal ride it's been of watching things just show up without my personal individual effort. I mean, now I can just look and think, wow, how did I travel around the world to 44 countries? And Francis and I have made many loops around this world. I mean, entire loops. We did one loop, we went all the way around the country. We were sitting, I think, in a hotel in China. And we both looked at each other and smiled. We went, yep, we're going again. And in one day, Francis booked our tickets for every country to go around the world. We were given that big of a download of where we would go and what we would do. And we had just gone a 360 around the whole world. And now Jesus, in one day, she booked all the tickets for the next round. But that's an involuntary life. That's a surrendered life. That's not taking care of the body. That's saying, if I devote my mind to God and I have a pure heart and a clear mind, then I have everything right now. And that's what you can pray for in the morning. If you want to pray for something, pray for everything. And actually, everything is not everything. It's actually spirit. It's if you keep praying every morning for everything, you'll end up with a revelatory experience. You'll just go into the light, because that is everything. The light is everything. Also, with reciprocity, we tend to attribute external sources like parents or money or government handouts or people, employers paying money for services and everything. We tend to attribute our source of sustenance to externals. And that's what the ego tries to do. It tries to project it to the world as if the world is supporting us somehow. And the only way you could believe that is if you believe you're a body. You know, Jesus is like, if you knew who you really are, you would laugh at the idea that you are a person or a body. You would just laugh. You would have a belly laugh at how ridiculous the idea is that you're so tiny. when you're so vast. Your mind is the mind that was used to make up the entire cosmos and all the galaxies. And the vast, vast cosmos is just a reflection of the power of the mind in a misdirected way. Imagine if it's not misdirected, if it's powerful enough to make up a galaxy and many galaxies in time and space. Imagine how powerful it is when it just rests in a state of pure being. It's not even being used to project something. It's just wow, huge energy of love and light, just an expansive love and light that's eternal. Now that is really what we're praying for. That's the everything that we want. So it's like you have to be willing just to take step by step. And I know for Francis and I, when we did consciously say, okay, I'm just gonna hand over the career to you. I'm gonna hand over all my past learning to you, Jesus. I'm gonna hand over my decision making to you. And now let's make the decisions in a joint way, in a collaborative way, kind of in a mutual way, because that's how it starts. At the beginning, we see ourselves as different from the Christ. And it's not until the merge happens where the decisions disappear. But until the merge happens where we recognize ourselves as the living Christ, then Jesus says, even if they be illusions, there are still decisions to make. You can't skip over belief. If you believe in separation, then you're going to have to be unwound from that belief in separation through miracles. And in our case, I think with community, that took a lot of faith. I know, Francis, you said the first time you came to the monastery, you had a few lingering ideas about, okay, what's this going to be, and what am I going to have to do, and what's going to be asked of me. And that was part of, now we can laugh at it because that's part of the fun of it all. You have to start practically where you believe you are. You can't just pretend and leapfrog over those beliefs.
Yeah, I felt so much love when I met David and all the messengers of peace in Australia. And then when I decided to go to the monastery months before that, all this fear came up, all the projection came out. I didn't even know where they're coming from, no founded foundation. And I just started to fear what they would do to me. And I don't even know where it's coming from, because it was, all that I know was how caring and loving they were. So there was an application form and said, do you feel open to do this and this? And physical labor, I said, no, not open to do that. And then I came with, so Lisa said, oh, you don't feel open to have any physical labor. I said, I can do accounting. Very specific. Like, I came here knowing where I can serve, which I feel I have the skill and I feel comfortable and worthy. So people would think I'm worthy because I can contribute in this way, very specific. This is what I asked to do. And they said, no, we have an accountant actually. So I said, okay, then I'm open to anything. Just really, it doesn't matter. So that's where, you just get more and more relaxed and melting, and find out that so much joy in collaborating. It really doesn't matter with what you're asked to do. It's about, how do we magnify this joy that started to bubble up in heart? How do we have this consistent experience? What does it take? Really, what does it take? What does it take for me to change my mind? What does it take for me in this moment to say, okay, I'm willing to put aside this thought, this judgment, and this plan?
Yeah. It's often, I think the Spirit works with those thoughts and beliefs where we're very limited in what we're capable of doing, that the Spirit can come through us in a way to show us that with God all things are possible. because I know when I was in university for 10 years, that was back from the period of 1976 to 1986. But and progressively, as my years in university went on, the computers started to come in. You know, when I first went there, there were these giant rooms, giant mainframes and cards, and some of you don't even know that era, but that was an ancient era of computers, giant mainframe computers and card readers. And I was not turned on by that at all. I thought, what a mess. I was resistant to that type of computing. And then as computers advanced, I still was resistant. You know, no, I'll do it the old-fashioned way. No, give me a paper and pencil. No, 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 no. And then after university, when Jesus really got a hold of my mind, then he's like, now you have to learn to be really open-minded. There's going to be a lot of technology changes. And believe me, during my lifetime, wow, there's been a lot of advances in technology. And Jesus would always say, I'll tell you what you need to get into. So he got me into websites. I said, I don't know how to build websites. He said, I know, I'll show you. That's interesting when you let Jesus come through and use your body to build websites. It's a different experience than going to a class and having an instructor teach you how to build, because it's so intuitive. He was wanting me to stretch and open my intuition and let me channel through you. I can channel websites. I can do all kinds of things. I was very shy. I was voted the most quiet in my senior class. I didn't like to travel. I didn't like people, to talk to people. There's so many things I didn't like and didn't believe I could even do. I was unworthy of doing these things. And then little by little, he started the travels and then communicating with people and then emails eventually and phoning people through phone cards or phone booths back in the day, and then through cell phones eventually, and so on and so forth. And with the technology, you know, I was like, he said, go look up YouTube. I said, YouTube? What is YouTube? How do you spell it? U-T-U-B-E? No, Y-O-U-T-U-B-E. I said, what's a YouTube? There was a phone service called Vonage, and I said, Vonage? What's Vonage? And he said, it's VoIP. I said, what is VoIP? He said, voice over internet protocol. Why is Vonage and VoIP important? He said, well, you're going to be making a lot of calls, and this is internet technology. Instead of the old paying the phone company huge amounts of money, you're going to be using VoIP. And we talk about, even Skype is old is old school now. People go, Skype, you still use Skype? Well, there came a time when Jesus was saying Skype, and I'm like, why Skype? And he said, international calls with all your brothers and sisters all over the place. And then there's audio calls and Skype video calls, and here we are using Zoom now to do these gatherings with people all over the world. I would say more tech resistant. I was resistant to technology. Jesus was like, listen, I just trust me and just look it up and download it. And I was always downloading all these new technologies without even knowing what they were or how they would be used. And Jesus was like, it's all part of communication. Trust me. And so that's kind of how our life goes, where we learn to listen and follow to the guidance within. And the guidance has been coming through for like 35 years, and it just makes for a harmonious experience. Good guidance, listening to the guidance of Jesus, just makes for a harmonious experience on planet Earth. And that's what you want, right? Does anybody raise their hands? Harmony? Does anybody want some harmony there? Yeah, I see those hands going. Joni's like waving them all over the place. We want some harmony. Yes, we want harmony. Yes, we want peace. We want freedom. We want joy. We want happiness. And Jesus is like, yeah, I said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be added unto you. You'll experience all those things as you follow my guidance. Because the guidance of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, that is the practical way to experience who you are in the fastest way possible. I mean, there are many pathways to God in form, but tuning into this intuitive guidance and following it, not just hearing it, but following it is super, super, super fast. And what it does is it leads you into a devoted life. So now, you know, we don't care whatever word you want to call it. It just feels reverent, like our days feel sacred, our days feel reverent. It feels like we're doing this for the whole universe. It doesn't feel personal. We're not interested in the social media of likes and followers and all these things like that. We're not interested in the statistics. We're interested in the experience of the connection. And that's everything. Once you have that connection and awareness, then the rest just fades away from awareness. You're not so focused on the specifics or the logistics. And you don't even ask the question how, because obviously the Holy Spirit is the how. Before, we thought it was doing things in form and getting things to work together and figuring things out. We had our own version of how. And now the how is the Holy Spirit. And it's not just some cliche word. It's an actual experience.
Yeah, I really see, like, for the 10 years of living in the community, how Jesus is truly leading us, like unequivocal experience is leading us to have this direct connection with him. You know, even in terms of how to navigate time and space in this world, he is leading us, but not for the world, but more for, you know, I'm always here in your mind, and you can just rest with me and ask me for everything. And that is the goal. That is the mean and is the goal. Even around 2019, toward the year end, David just said he felt this guidance that we are moving into digital ministry. At the time, we were like, you know, what? There's so many travels. We have the biggest travel year in 2019. But that was the guidance. I had always one step ahead, but it's not really anything for us to be listen and follow for so long. Okay, you know, we happily listen and follow because we receive the gift of knowing the Spirit is here with us, and we receive the gift of peace. We don't feel we have to navigate the logistics of time and space and trying to figure out things, because we just need to get this connection with Jesus. So that's how things flow all the time. You know, it's just very easy, very peaceful. There's no figuring out that is needed. There's no need for asking why can't this, why can't that. It's just for peace. So that's the experience. And that is really a process of purification, process of, if I want only the Spirit, then why would I care about why not that? You know, just because this is the Spirit, just have peace. And that's truly become so in alignment with the deepest desire. Eventually we realize that's all we want. There is nothing else we really want. But that purification happens in the end. We realize, wow, that the single desire is not hard. We are too confused about who we are and what we want. We need this guide to give us what we truly want, and then realize that's really all that we ever wanted. That's why the journey becomes easier and easier, because once we get in touch with the guidance and the Spirit and the peace, it's not very hard. It's very attractive to want only that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been a gift, the symbol of community too, because I know for myself it was so rich. Even at the very, very beginning in this house, we just had people living here and just trusting, and sometimes the fear would come up. I know Lisa came here and then at one point was just out on the front of the steps, just smoking cigarettes, going, what am I doing here? Why did I even come here? And going through the fears and resistances. But I see that what we have had is we've had these communities really sprinkled around the world. We've rented spaces for centers in Europe. We've had centers in Australia. We've had centers in Hawaii. We've had centers in the United States and in Mexico. What it was just a symbol to come together and live together with a group of people that were focused on the present moment, opening to listen and follow, intuitive guidance. We were into collaboration. We were into no people pleasing and no private thoughts. And there was an energy, a synergy with that, because we still had to deal with all the things of the world. You still have to pay the light bill and the utilities. If you're renting, you have to pay the rent. If you buy a property and you have a nonprofit, then you have to handle all the logistics. So that people have no idea that you still have to do all the logistics, but it's who's doing them through you. That's the real thing. If you're doing all that individually, that's complex. That we would say, yeah, that would be complex. If you're playing the survival game on planet Earth, that is a complex game. There is no doubt about it. But what we're saying is if there's one inside of you, one in you that knows your greater good and knows how to unwind you from that complex game and bring you into the simplicity of being that goes beyond the doer and goes beyond all the guilt of the doer and takes you into a merge, into a state of mind that where everything is appreciated and you feel full gratitude for everything and everyone, wouldn't you want to go through whatever that would take? Wouldn't you want to go through whatever is required? None of us were sitting around when we were younger thinking, oh, it'd be great to be a part of a spiritual community. None of us had that thought. I wouldn't have even known what that even meant. If somebody had said that to me, I would say, what are you talking about? What is that? What is that? Sounds interesting. What is it? But the thing is, like with Yogananda, and he predicted that before he passed away. Paramahansa Yogananda predicted there'd be clusters and communities. And today, many years after Yogananda laid his body aside, we have Ananda communities all over the world. Bhavna can probably tell us, yeah, they're vegetarian and they're just devoted community to Kriya Yoga, to the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, so on and so forth. But that was good because that's somebody I always admired and respected. And before he lays his body aside, which his body does not decompose for weeks and weeks, because his mind, it was just reflecting his mind. His mind wasn't decomposing, and neither did his body. It didn't even follow the norm of what's supposed to happen to bodies. Because of the devotion, because of the great devotion to the spirit, everything, like the workbook lesson today, I will receive as I have asked. You ask for love and light, and you receive love and light. Ask for complexity, you experience complexity. Ask for conflict, you experience conflict. Ask for harmony and really mean it. That means you're so willing to let the spirit direct your life, or what seems to be your life in the world. And so a lot of people think that they'll just get the course and they'll study the course and they'll just kind of work the course into their personal life. And all I can say is it's going to go very, very slow, because the whole teaching of the Course is don't try to bring the truth into the illusion. And what we consider our perception of our everyday life as human beings, and with separate lives and separate minds, and struggling through communication with interpersonal relationships, this is not reality. This is the projection of these illusory beliefs. And that tangled ball of ego beliefs has to be unwound. And it is unwound through guidance. I know there are Course teachers that have taught that the Holy Spirit doesn't guide you specifically. The only problem with that is, for the last 35 years, I've been hearing specific guidance from the Holy Spirit and loving every moment of it. My heart burst open in joy. My laughter, can fill up a house when I start laughing. Sometimes we do start laughing in community and we can't stop for a while. We just keep laughing and laughing and laughing. Now, that is not an intellectual understanding of some book. That is a living experience of what is intended for us. Joy, joy, joy. We're intended for joy. We're not intended to memorize a bunch of theologies and be able to spout theologies. Leave that to the scribes and Pharisees. Jesus wasn't even a fan of the scribes and Pharisees 2,000 years ago. He's certainly no fan of just intellectually clinging to some things that you read in a book. He wants you to let go of everything, including the intellect. In the end, the intellect is just a construct. There's no intellect in the spirit. It's just love. It's just love. Well, we love the interactions, so maybe we've all these sparkly, smiling faces and hearts flying all around the universe here. What do you think, Francis? Maybe we should open it up and have some interactions here.
Yes, 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 yes. We have received so many beautiful prayers, just thank you so much, because it just feels like such a shared prayer, and it's an honor to hear them. And, even now, if you have questions or anything that's very deep in your heart, you can just raise your digital hand. Oh, there's David. Oh, wow.
Whoa, there they come. The hands are up. Well, let's go with David. David zipped that digital hand up so fast, Francis couldn't even finish her sentence, and that digital hand shot up there.
Hi, you guys.
Hi, David.
Hi. Oh, I love you so much. Ye shall know them by their fruits, and your fruits are joy and happiness and laughter. It's the most beautiful symbol. So thank you for that. And the whole weekend has been wonderful, as always. The sharings have been powerful. Yours today, and everyone throughout the weekend. Last night in the closing session, I related to everybody at some level, and Dirk especially talking about feeling judged. And I really want to put on the altar today my need to feel like I'm not only being judged, but judging. Because when I come on to talk, I've always felt like I had to, that mind is there, that voice, you got to get it right, put it in order, make sure you're impressive. What are people thinking? And I just, I don't like it. And then when I'm done, I can't even hardly hear what anybody's saying, because I'm too busy evaluating what I just said. Did I do it right? So I want to put in, and I want to put this on the altar for everybody, that we can all set down our mask. And the teaching Friday night with Eric and Lisa and Jason was beautiful, because, I just resonated with, and what you're just talking about, collaboration together in community, of everyone being on the same page. There can't be anything more perfect. and everyone having the same goal and honoring everyone and listening and following them. And this is something that I really want to do, which is why I'm coming to the mystery school in March. This morning I was reading from another book and read something powerful that said, I need to let go of the I should from the death consciousness and switch that to I am. And when I look back at my journey from even a year and a half ago of meeting you all, and the total resistance I had to listen and follow, I was like, no, I'll forgive, but not that. But a year and a half later, I'm asking for guidance and I'm receiving and I'm ready for it. So, and I was watching Undoing the Doer before the retreat today, and Jason was talking about Jesus will take everyone at their own pace. Don't push it. Don't make yourself feel guilty. Don't judge it. Just go at your own pace and everything will be okay. So it's been beautiful. I love it. And I just want to share one prayer, a short prayer. I followed a lady before I came to the course, and I've taken this with me. It's so beautiful, and it reflects the course's teachings. It's very short. And it says, be nothing, do nothing, get nothing, become nothing. Seek for nothing, relinquish nothing. Be as you are, rest in God. And I just melt every time I read that. And I've finally come to learn that resting in God is listen and follow. And this is what I want. I want the peace of God. I love you. And, the word love hasn't always been powerful for me. And my heart has been open through this whole process with you all and all the mighty companions. Everything has been so powerful. And I love to say I love. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. It's so beautiful because when you're that open, then all things are equally acceptable, and you just marvel in the miracle of it. It wasn't very long ago, Francis and I were invited to come to Thanksgiving dinner at La Casa, and we got there and they were saying, oh, what a morning it's been, getting all the food ready and everything. And he's like, well, who's in the kitchen? Because, there's going to be like 20, 25 people there, and who's in the kitchen cooking Thanksgiving dinner? And they said it's like Eric and Jason. Now, Eric and Jason have worn so many hats. They've done about everything you can imagine over these years and years and years. I mean, I've seen them do just about everything except cook a turkey. And we all just laughed, and we were like, okay. And it just worked out beautiful. People who have done hundreds of things, just stepping into something that they've never done before, and letting the spirit cook the turkey through them. That's a fun experience. Now that is Thanksgiving, when the spirit's got you and cooks the turkey through you, and you never cooked a turkey. And the funny thing was, I had talked to Kirsten, and she said, yeah, Stephanie's up here and Debbie and this and that, and they don't cook turkeys. I mean, Thanksgiving Day turkeys in the United States mostly holiday and experience. She said, we have Europeans here. They don't even know they haven't cooked a turkey. But they're so willing. They're in the kitchen cooking a turkey. Now that's what I mean about collaboration. Just stepping up and saying, use me. And even if I've not done it before, I have no past reference, that's such a huge willingness. And then the love can start to pour through, because you don't stay in the I know mind, and you don't stay in just living in your past concepts of what's possible. Oh, I can't do this. No, I can't do that. You know how the personality self can be. Oh, sorry, no. Ask somebody else. Ask somebody else who could cook a turkey. Don't ask me. I do whatever, music, or I do tech things. I can do mechanics. Cook a turkey. And yet they jumped right in there, and we had the best cooked turkey dinner there because they were just so willing. they were just so absolutely willing. And that touches my heart. That just touches my heart. So thank you, David. I feel your heart. I feel your willingness.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you. Okay, maybe Vera. Vera, you're next on there online.
Hi, David.
Hi.
Hi, Francis. The companions. Oh, wow. Good to be with you. First of all, thank you very much for this great weekend so far. And honestly, took me such a great courage to raise my hand this time. I have a lot of body symptoms. My heart is racing. I feel pressure. I guess it's still the belief I can do something wrong. I have so much in my mind from all the last months. And it's like David says, the idea that I can be judged is so strong still. Even when it's not the first time that I'm showing up here in community. But I feel it at the moment so deep and intense. And there was a word this afternoon here. It's after it's the evening in Germany, and this afternoon there came so much thoughts to me that I thought, okay, still there. It seems I have kind of hidden thoughts, secrets. People don't know me really. I feel I'm still hiding, and I felt the shame about the topic of Friday with the people, the other German mighty companions, with collaboration that they did, and I felt shame and unworthy not being in this project, so to say. And that it could be judged, even from you, David. You know that I'm German too, when we met 2 years ago in Francis in Holland. And yes, I guess it's a lot of around the belief still of unworthiness. And it is combined with the body symptoms and the pain I still have since I came back from Spain in July, and it was getting worse, and until now, no treatment at all was making it better. And I'm really struggling with these body symptoms. And then I blame myself what I'm doing wrong. The idea that I'm spirit, and I do my lessons. All what is needed in this prayer to be shown, to be guided. I'm still sitting here, so to say, alone in my apartment, and yes, I'm really struggling with this body symptoms. As I can say it openly, I don't want to hide this, and I have no idea anymore what to do. Sometimes the thought comes in my mind, okay, perhaps I have to accept it. it's a very bad idea, even when it would not be getting better anymore in my life. And I feel so limited with this pain. Yes, and this unworthiness that I'm not able to do sometimes normal housework, that I have to ask for help, and it's really another topic to ask for help. And it was the background, so to say, that I cannot write or type anything yet, that I didn't ask my mighty companions here in Germany to be part of the project, as example. Yes, and I felt ashamed to open up, to say this. But I know where the fear is, there's the way to go along. Yeah. Oh.
Thank you, Vera. Thank you. You know, the way Jesus is he is so happy for every bit of willingness, even every little willingness we have, every little step we take, even the tiniest step. Jesus is so grateful and so happy because it's helping everyone, every little step we take. And even since I first met you, you know, I have to say you have taken steps. You have taken steps to come where I met you in Holland, and you have continued to take your steps. And in terms of the body symptoms, you know, I feel real honored to have really been able to have some beautiful joinings with Judy Scutch-Whitson, who passed recently. And I knew her mostly through her 80s, when she was 80 and on, up until she passed. And you know, every time I would come together with her, whether it was a lunch or a breakfast or a dinner, many times I came to her, and the first thing she would tell me was of her body symptoms. And this was one of the original four, you know, with Bill and Helen and Ken and Judy. She was one of the original four that Jesus called in this plan. And one time I met her, and she said, "Oh, David, since the last time I saw you, I had a heart attack." I said, "A heart attack?" And she said, "Yeah, I got guidance to go into my cardiologist, and my cardiologist was out of the state, you know, was traveling. So I was there talking to the receptionist, and she said to the receptionist, 'I don't feel well. I really don't feel well.' And the cardiologist receptionist said, 'Oh, honey, it's a little gas. You just got a little gas.' And then she lunged and had her heart attack on the receptionist's desk in the cardiology department. She had a heart attack. And of course, the doctor later said, that's the best place to have a heart attack. in the cardiology department, she had a heart attack. And she's telling us this story laughing. And she's laughing, and she's like, "I told Jesus I'm not ready to check out yet." She was probably in her 80s, early 80s, and I told him, "I'm not ready. I still have things I want to do for you." And so she has a heart attack in a cardiology department. She had times where she fell, where her husband fell. She had times where she went through all sorts of body symptoms. And yet, when we would meet, we would end up laughing so hard. And it's not easy to imagine laughing at body symptoms, but actually underneath it, she was so devoted to take her baby steps and do whatever Jesus wanted, that she did this for so many decades that even towards the end of her life in this world, she wrote to me one time and she said, "Oh, David, every day I've so much pain. There's so much pain in my life. But whenever I do a Zoom call or a phone call or type an email, I can hardly even read the email anymore. But whenever I type an email, do that, the pain disappears." Here she was 90 years old and telling me, and she'd gone through a lot. I mean, a whole lot. I knew because she was always telling me about it, that she was saying she was rejoicing in the miracle, that she would find little ways to be truly helpful and the pain would disappear, you know, with through the movement of the miracle, not through the pain pills or the whatever was prescribed, but it was just through that. So I just tell you this, Vera, to just take heart, because Jesus is not judging you or anyone, and he is so grateful for every step you've taken. He's just like rejoicing at the steps that you've taken, and he's so very grateful. And I am too. I know since the time I met you, you know, we've done movie gatherings together on there. We met at Into the Kingdom. What a retreat that was up there in Holland in the castle. And you've taken your travels and your steps most recently to Spain. And so it's not like you haven't answered the call. You have. And you're just answering it the best you can. And that's what Judy did when she faced a lot of body symptoms, a lot of discomfort. She would just be so humble and just say she's going to do what she can do in any given day for Jesus. And that's all any of us can do. We can't put ourselves on some kind of an artificial scale and judge ourselves as if we're less than or we're not worthy, or, you know, the ego always tries to convince us of those things, but just keeps taking those steady steps. And I'm with you, and you're with me, and we're with you so deeply, and you're here with us now, sharing all of this. And I see the smile coming on your face, because that's the real you inside knows that you are taking those steps for Jesus, and you have been steadfast in doing the best you can do with that. And that's all any of us can do, is just the best. That's all Judy could do. She just gave it the best. For 90 years, she just gave it the best she could give. And we all felt that. Oh, it just sent out a burst of love across the whole planet, across the whole universe. So thank you, Vera. Thank you. We love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, I know that you're asking for this question for so many people right now. We get prayers coming in, it's the same, along the same line, and just you being able to just say it, expose it, it's serving so many. It's really serving the plan for awakening, and have the spirit answer come through. Just, yeah, we're very grateful.
Okay, Nanny, I see your hand up.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I want to start with this. And then I am going to say thank you first to all. I must confess, I wish we don't have a language to use. So I hear you telling your stories and Francis telling her stories, and how, you know, we kind of have similar paths that we have walked. education, psychology, and Francis, the accounting, and several things were coming out. And what is it that we count? Are we counting our stories? Are we counting money? And who's the one counting? Who's that I? Is it the I that I am? That I am? And so I'm, in order to share something, I feel the need to that identification with the person that I think I am in this dimension or illusion or realm. I have also, and I start with the I, which sometimes I feel like, what do I have to say I anyways? But yeah, studied in a Catholic school, and so my background comes from that place. And due to the story that I believe it was true of, I shared this a long time ago, of abuse and abandonment, rejection, and so on and so forth, that I thought it was true. I felt so much emotional pain and sense of the emptiness within. And I felt that it was going to be through the cross and my path. And I felt my call. I wanted to be a nun. So going through the cross and carry the cross, Jesus cross. And you know how the Catholics, they say, you have to carry your cross. This is your cross. You have to carry your cross. And then I'm like, okay. And then I used to like go on my knees and kiss, Jesus' feet on the cross. I will always see myself like kissing his feet and crying and crying. And yeah, I thought I felt some sort of relief. So I'm saying this because my spiritual path kind of started there. I did not enter to the monastery to be a nun because it was funny, because in the movie yesterday, I got married and I was just laughing because I said, if my father would have just asked me, are you sure you want to do this? I would say no. But then I did. And it was funny. My dress was white and I have the dress with the long tail. And I was having like the most ridiculous, funniest, enter into this, in the church. And like, I'm going like, oh, to all my friends, like I was some sort of a Miss Universe, a stupid thing I was doing. Saying hi to everyone. What was that all about? And then I talked to an uncle, and he said, and my grandfather died the day before of that Catholic wedding. Okay, so I said, I have a chance to say, let's just don't do this. And then one of my aunties said, no, everything's done. Just cancel the party because we are on some sort of a loss and everybody's grieving. So my eyes are so like swollen, and I'm like this, eyes swollen. They're in the wedding. And everybody's like saying, oh, congratulations, sorry for your loss. Congratulations, sorry for your loss. It's just like, it's the world, yeah?
This universe is swollen eyes.
Yeah, because of all the crying for my grandfather. I love my grandfather, yeah? And then so then I talked to this uncle, and he said, well, you got your wedding, you got your pictures, that's it, call it good. Because I said, I'm not happy. This is not what I wanted anyways. And he's like, okay, just call it good, get it done. So 2 months, and I was up. And then, okay, so this is where my path really started. Like, okay, so now I went to the confession, talked to the priest, because I was a Catholic until then. And then the priest says in confession, okay, well, I understand what you're saying. And now you are not to get communion anymore. And I'm like, wait, what? Jesus is all about forgiveness. So what are you talking about? Yeah, I cannot get communion. Am I getting some sort of a punishment? And then he said, well, it's not a punishment. It's just, we follow some rules and this is how it works. So people saw you got married and you cannot just show up and get communion because this is not how it. And I said, okay, thank you. See ya. We don't want to be ya. Okay. And then I left that path. And so I said, okay, so then I went into Hare Krishna, I went into Christianity, and I went into all kinds of things, right? I was 21 then. So I says, there must be another way. There must be, and I'm finding the other way. So I went into everything, like 6 Vipassana, silence retreats. And I did the ayahuasca, several retreats. And of course, due to all the things and my willingness to see beyond, right? The identification with the body, I was blessed with several times of samadhis or call it nirvana and revelations and experiences of outside of the body and all of those things. And why am I sharing this? Yeah, because I think I have shared with you that I lead this the Dharma circle, and we used to before sit and meditate and just share things. But I've been studying the course for 9 years now, and I felt the call to start teaching it, like not teaching it, but sharing. So I said, so Holy Spirit, guide me. And I have met you like through videos in YouTube. It was funny how when you say, how do you spell YouTube? Yeah, and before this, I've with Marianne Williamson and Kenneth Whitman and Enrique Corbera from Spain and all kinds of teachers. And I, like in my heart, I felt I want to share this. And my fiance was telling me everybody charges so much in this world. And then the money factor came up. So, and then we are talking, he and me, and he said, there must be a way to help people learn these principles. And it's funny because so many teachers start to come in like, whoo, like a rain of when all all the things that you have done and you have experienced. And it's funny how you see people like crossing pathways. I remember Doreen Virtue, who used to be an angel channeler that used to give conferences at Hay House, and now she became a Christian, and now she talks like there's a sacrilege, the Course in Miracles. So anyway, my point here is that, as you always say, and as you always, you bring your book and you say like, yeah, this has fonts and letters and blah 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 and so on. So, and but the lesson is the same, and I, to a certain degree, started to feel I have never felt unworthiness after all the things that I have experienced in terms of revelations. So I knew I'm whole, I knew I'm free, and I knew I'm guided. But then, okay, wait. David just said something. There are several groups that teach the course in all over the world, and I'm one of them. But I know the master teacher is Jesus, and with the second coming, it's the actual understanding and feeling it and experiencing the final purpose, which is atonement, and stepping out of this idea of this identification. So I am right now reading, and as a therapist, I do my best always to just channel the spirit, because this is not I, Nani. Sometimes I don't even want to write my name in the, it's just like, who am I anyway? But I do things, and I do lead this circle, the Dharma circle, and people are very grateful. There's a lot of, self-realization happening and lots of miracles. But when you say that, David, so I don't know. I think I just want to expose this. I think this is the first time I'm actually sharing this and saying this. And I want to place it in the altar because I do want to find a way to get to people that cannot pay these type of retreats, or you know what I'm saying? And I want to do what's good for God and not for me. Even though in this dream, we think we have to pay certain things. And yeah, we do buy tickets. You're in Cincinnati, hello, in that body of David Hoffmeister. Francis is, I don't know, Mexico, I think, right? And we are all here in this illusion, in different, supposedly parts of the planet Earth. But so would you, both of you or whoever feels it, and I'm going to place this in the altar because I totally feel guidance. I pray, I follow, I listen, I meditate. And I mean, my life, it's a constant prayer. And I'm a prayer warrior that sometimes wishes there's no language. And that we can step out of words, because those are the thoughts that come to our minds that we believe are true. So I respect you, I honor you, I see myself in you. And what I'm basically asking you as a sister, as a child of God, is to, I don't know, maybe just guide me in the sense of we're all good. And maybe we can join forces to spread this in the way that people that have not money or don't count pennies, or count pennies, penny by penny on top of each other until it's a dime, and then it's a quarter. So we can spread this more and beyond. That's basically what it is. And that's it. I want to just place it in the altar. And I'm grateful and forever grateful and full of love to just spread and give and share. And I'm grateful for every single sharing and transparency and honesty of every single one of my mighty companions. And I'm very happy to belong to this wonderful communion. I just joined because I just want to embrace and love everyone. And I love you, David, Francis, everyone, the translators, all the volunteers. I'm one of them in a different way. This is great. This is awesome. We are.
Yeah. Thank you, Nani. Yeah, well, we just love to see the shining and sharing of everything. That's why we record these, we put them out so people can listen to them or watch things just as they discover. So we all are thankful to have discovered this love and this joy and this connection, and we just love extending it and giving it away. And that's why I think we continue to do whatever comes in an inspirational way. I know your Dharma group is a big inspiration, and there's many ripples that go out from everything that everyone's thinking and saying and doing. So it's like a big celebration, we're all in it. And we all do share the prayer of going to the stillness beyond the words, like that prayer that David was saying earlier about do nothing, strive for nothing, it was just so beautiful. That was like our prayer put into a poem of letting go of everything and realizing we have everything right now. we don't have to work at it in the future. It's all ours, and all we want to do is share it and get into the vibe. So thank you, Nani. That's a great image. I'll think of you running as a bride with the swollen eyes and facing all the contradictions of the world. Congratulations. I'm so sorry. Congratulations. I'm so sorry. That's the look. I could make a Woody Allen movie out of that. You know, the comedy of congratulations. I'm so sorry. You know, all compacted together with a bride. It looks like Miss Universe with swollen eyes. We could make a comedy. So thank you, though. We love you. We love you so dearly. And thanks for bringing Noah on. I've heard about Noah, so it was so beautiful to see him on there, you know, asking his question for all of us. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Dirk. We see Dirk up there.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much for the space today. And I felt to communicate, to contribute here in this community, and to speak up and to yeah, it's I'm in my path to or on my way to be guided and to feel this presence, and to feel, yeah, presence and love. There is I have actually at the moment I have a feeling of annoyance because Nanny spoke so much, and now I feel this grievance coming up right now. So I share it. I don't want it, but it's there. So I thought I could hide it, but it's not possible at the moment. So I share it. And I'm glad that I can do this and to discern between these thought systems. My ego thought system, it's sometimes a bit strong, as right now, and the thought system of the Holy Spirit. So as if, yeah, I think for me, maybe it's a theme again about my unworthiness to speak or to take time for myself, or when I hear that my brothers take time, and so there comes this grievance, and I project it onto Nanny, yeah, sorry, and it's there, and I feel fear to do this and to be rejected. Yeah. Okay. So, and I would like to speak about another grievance, for me, a severe grievance, which I project onto my biological father. It's a really deep grievance. And I often give it to the spirit, and it works for a moment, but it's so deep that it comes back another time, next time, or maybe it's this, the role of a son is involved, being a good son, being the son, responsibility. And with these family roles, and he seems to be a counterpart of my system, or a part of my system, in his reactions or in his behaviors. So as in my role, or in my identity as Dirk, with my attributes to be more calm and careful and hesitating, and he's right there another way. And this relationship here in this dream is very fearful for me, and so deep. I feel so deep fear. And I want to let this go. I want to handle it. I want to give it to the Holy Spirit, and to find a way to be in peace with this relationship as well, to come to him, to a peaceful way, to be with this brother, to see him as a Christ. And it's so strong that I see in him a body and behaviors which I don't like as Dirk. As if it's, for me, it's threatened. And and he seems to reflect it to me. So I'm in fact, I'm really very careful with him, and can feel there's underneath this is love, is acceptance, but it's sometimes I think it's such a big threat. He could murder me, and it's very painful, this thought. And I was not sure whether I should share it here, but I think my guidance is to do it, and to share it with all of you, my mighty companions, to not to hide it or to be ashamed about it, because it's as if I should have handled it yet, or find this or that myself, Dirk, is strong enough to handle it, to be happy, or to but it's so deep. I think it's this fear is so deep, and Yeah. So my prayer is to give it to the Holy Spirit and to see a way to be shown a way to be kind and loving all the times, and with all my brothers. Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you for this space. Wow.
Thank you, Dirk. I could feel the healing happening during your expression. Yeah, because it's all of us have like an unconscious mind that it's almost like having a room, a basement in a house, a very dark, sealed, closed basement. It's very dark and intense down there. And we don't even want to know about it. We want to forget that there even is a basement. We maybe even tell people we don't have a basement, but it's there. And you're just ventilating. You're just opening up and ventilating and letting the spaciousness come, even with sharing your thoughts you did with Nani and with your dad, that's starting to ventilate it, because that unconscious mind, I mentioned, Jesus calls your secret dream, the dream that you dream in secret. And everything we perceive in the part that we gave away, which is the projected world, is coming from the secret dream. So your dad's actions, behaviors, and words are all coming from the basement. But if you take on the role of the good son, then you bite your tongue and you don't speak it. And therefore it stays locked down there, and it keeps on producing these situations and behaviors. So you just did a little bit of ventilation. You're just opening up some doorways and letting the basement say, okay, it's all right now. I'm not going to close you off anymore. You may want to watch this movie in our mwge.org called The Invention of Lying. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the main character speaks all of his thoughts without censorship. And it's a comedy, but you'll love it, because Ricky Gervais, the comedian, plays the main character, and in Invention of Lying, he just speaks everything. And even when he's on a date, everywhere he goes, and everyone speaks their thoughts. So it just gives you a glimpse of how, if you really ventilated that basement, you could really have some good laughs eventually, because the hurt would start to go away. Once it's not hidden anymore, then it ceases to be painful. But as long as it's hidden, and as long as we're afraid of it, then it's painful. So thank you. You did that for all of us. You did a little ventilating there of the ventilating of the basement. That was really good. We loved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dirk.
Thank you. Well, let's see. I see Darren on there. We haven't heard from Darren, and I would love to hear from Darren. I read your question, your prayer, so I'm glad you can be with us today.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I just wanted to share, first of all, that this has been a very powerful weekend for me. A lot of that was my intention to make sure I did every part of the weekend. And I really love the sharing. I love the comments that you made, Francis. I have I feel like I have a similar path. The movie session was particularly intense for me, and I wanted to share a kind of a metaphor that I got after the experience. And I heard many people expressing themselves that as the movie went on, more things started to really come up, and that was happening for me too. And I was just trying to understand what's going on, and I was kind of guided after to see it in a funny way that I thought would be fun to share. I had recently gone to the optometrist, and I got a new pair of these, and helps my sight a lot better. But as you know, when you go to the optometrist, they like to open up your eyes, and I was drawn to this parallel. Like Jesus was explaining, like, well, when you sit back in the chair and they put those little drops in your eyes to dilate them, it's like, well, that's the movie. And you know how David was presenting, it's just like the optometrist was saying, it's like, oh, these aren't going to hurt. It's going to be okay. And I like, believe it. And then, okay, so you wait a little bit, you watch the movie, right? And then in comes the light, and you talk about ventilating the basement, and the light is the Holy Spirit, right? And just shining into that darkness. And that's why you're feeling all this intensity. But we're not done there. David is the hands of the optometrist moving that thing around there, kind of lasering out that stuff. And I'm like, oh, and here's the kicker. The kicker is, how they use that little lens, as they're looking in, sometimes the lens is this community. The lens is all the people, and they're just helping focus all of that. And that's what makes it even more powerful. And I was like, well, I feel like the patient, like that light's shining in my eye. And I'm like, are you done? And they're like, well, here's the tissues. This is what it's for. The parallels are just amazing. And I just wanted to say also that there were several other synchronicities that happened afterwards that were just made me feel like, you talk about witnesses, that just made it feel more real. And so I'd just like to thank you and the organizers and all the mighty companions. I just felt all of your presence, and it really did amplify the weekend, and just also the sharings that were done. When you say you're not healed alone, I really felt like every time somebody shared, there was some benefit to me, which was strange. That's something new, but that's how I felt. So that's it. I just wanted to share, and so thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Darren.
Precious. Okay, well, we've got we can go over a little bit today. Esther, how are you doing?
Thank you, David. Thank you, Francis. I'll be brief. I do the lessons in the morning, and I wake up and I try to shift into a state of mind that's more vast, and then I'll experience some pain. And I just wanted to ask you, how can I shift my mind back to what do I say to myself that this pain will, I want to be convinced that it's getting better. I want to be convinced that that I'm doing everything I need to do. And I just want to have the state of mind, the fortitude to have the state of mind that's necessary for my enjoyment of living. And the just this feeling that I just don't want to live, because this sense of, it's not suicidal really, but it's like this, what's the purpose of living? Like that deep depression kind of thing that still goes on. And there's only this faith that what Jesus talks about in the lesson for the morning has to be, it's just, you know, bubbling to know that, just to, I'm like, I'm holding on for dear life to that little ladder that I'm being given by the lesson. And then like, I'm trying to help my mom, and it's all over the place, but I'm trying to help my mom, and I can't tell if she injected the one thing that she had to inject this morning at all. And then there's this sense of victimization that comes over, and then I have to transcend that. And then with Alan and the trading, it's like I'm trying to help him with that, we're investigating the premises that we're operating from and questioning them, saying that, is this so Jesus says to investigate the thinking, and so that's what we're doing. And I just need a little pep talk on about the pain, helping my mom, and not feeling so. The externals, you taught me, the very first lesson you taught me is the externals aren't causative, and I keep arguing in my mind that they are. That's the basic. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther. Well, Francis mentioned on this weekend that it gets clouded when we get into the issues of pains and pleasure, because the belief is we can tell the difference. And Jesus is saying, no, your mind is so confused in the sleeping state that you can't tell the difference between pain and joy, Jesus says in the Course, that your mind is so confused that you can't tell the difference between pain and joy. And there's one part where Jesus says, call pleasure a pain and it hurts, and then call pain a pleasure and it feels differently. He's just showing how powerful the mind is, that we call things a certain thing, we believe things, and then they appear in our awareness. We receive witnesses for what we've asked for. But it's clear, if we don't know the difference between pain and pleasure, that we really don't know what we're asking for. If it can flip so quickly, and that's where the mind starts to get depressed. Like, what is happening in this crazy, wacky world? So I think the pep talk is for you and Alan to awake every day and say, oh, this day should be devoted to miracles. Today I would perform the miracles that you would give to me, through me. And that is the way out. You know, I can say that for me, I had to let go of a lot of conditioning and learning after I came through grade school, high school, and then grad school, after university. You know, it was like I had to kind of start at the beginning and say, direct to me, show me how I can be truly helpful. That's another way to say perform miracles through me. It's just saying, I would love to be truly helpful today. I would love to serve a greater plan than just the personality self. I want to serve a much larger plan. And that is a very powerful prayer. You can do that, and you have done that, and you have had beautiful, miraculous moments, and you've sent me photos of everyone smiling and laughing. So I know the miracle is just really strong and being shared. And like I was saying earlier with Vera, you have done this. You can do this. You have done this, and you will do this because it's your calling. It's the calling of your heart, and it's why you come on these retreats, just to be reminded again. This is our booster shot. Forget first and second booster shot and this and that. You know, we've got a booster shot every month. It's a booster shot for the soul, you know, for the mind, for the awakening mind. So thank you, Esther. We love you, and we're so glad, and we're with you every step of the way. We're so glad you're with us. Thank you. Okay, I see we have, is it Bhavna? Is at the mystery school. Hi Bhavna.
Hi, David. Hi, Francis.
Oh.
I have something that is coming up very strongly for me today, and that is this feeling of infatuation and unrequited love. It's kind of the theme or the story of my life. and I think this the story of Bhavna is a story of the ego, pretty much, where I am clinging to objects and people in the world, and a lot of times, more often than not, it doesn't reciprocate, my desire, and it's a great pain that I am seeing just how deep it is in me, and it's a continuous habit in my life, and I'm sort of getting a flashback to another retreat where I became obsessively infatuated with the facilitator, and I couldn't even concentrate after a point. It was like distracting to going inwards. And so I gathered up the courage to go up to him and tell him that I'm feeling this. And then he said, what you're desiring is not me, it's yourself. But this is like a misplaced desire. You're putting it on me for whatever reason. And so when he said that, I was kind of, I totally agreed with him. And I felt relieved. At the same time, there was some part of me that was so embarrassed and so ashamed. And I thought, throughout that ceremony for that day, I'm just going to pretend there's nobody here, and I'm just going to, the guidance was basically to just focus within on myself. And it was just as Frances said in the beginning of the talk. She said, the desire should only be for God, right? There's no split anymore. So I think that's just about as focused as I've ever been, focusing inwards. And I did it for like several hours, and there was this revelation experience that happened at that time. It was unlike anything. And that's when I realized that this feeling of infatuation that's coming up again now is sort of a big opportunity for me to do that same thing. The guidance is the same, to drop the outside form and pretty much use that energy to go within. If I focus all my energy on that outside person, I'm getting so drained. And I'm just baffled at how delusional I am, how misplaced this desire is, because I remember something in the Course that said, if you only knew your intensity or the intensity and this burning desire that God has for you and that you have for God, you would leap into heaven instantly. And then I thought, oh my God, I'm so delusional, like putting this all onto one person. And it's not just people, it's like music and food, and it's everything. I have like a crush on everything, but in a dysfunctional way. And I would say when I even think of Jesus as a person, because he's a man, I even have a crush on Jesus, and this sounds like really strange to say this, but it's true because this is my habit. You know, I'm infatuated with everything, and I just need to like reroute that energy within myself. This is the guidance that I'm getting, and I just wanted to share this. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavna. That's so sweet and so transparent. And yeah, well, I think you and there's quite a few around the world that have a crush on Jesus. And I enjoy listening to their songs and all their expressions because Jesus can handle it. He's so good at handling crushes that, like in psychotherapy, they have terms in psychotherapy called transference, when the patient transfers their love to the therapist, and then there's countertransference where the therapist transfers it back to the patient. But Jesus is so beautiful because he's really beyond transference and countertransference. He's just into being and pure love and acceptance, and always seeing the best, seeing the highest, always for us, never seeing anything but the highest. So, but I actually feel like these experiences are nothing really to be ashamed of, because Jesus tells us that embarrassment is just a form of fear. And again, you're just opening up, you're aerating your unconscious mind. You know, you're opening, like I said with Dirk, you're ventilating. It doesn't have to be just ventilating the negative. It can be ventilating the adoration and the infatuations. That's just as helpful. It's actually beautiful. Imagine a world where, kind of like that movie Invention of Lying, where people say all their attraction thoughts and all their repulsion thoughts. That's what I love about that movie, is the characters are all just like they have no filter. They aren't censoring anything. It's just like a stream of thoughts movie. And I've never seen a movie do that in such a comic way, where all the characters, they go out on a date. Both characters are completely transparent with each other, and then the waiter comes and the waiter's completely transparent. And it's funny because it's so different from this world, you know, where everything's hidden. Secrets. Oh, don't say it. Don't say it. You can think it, but don't say it. You know, that's just how the world seems to be. So I think it's beautiful that you're there at the mystery school and you have this great opportunity to start practicing being transparent. Because I remember with our opening circle, you had said that when you've done that in the past, then you have felt a sharp like rejection and a sharp like closing down. And that's kind of the way that it goes when we put people and things and situations on pedestals. Then we're afraid of the crash. We're afraid of them getting knocked off the pedestal. But now when you're with this group of people and facilitators, you know, that all are very aware of that, and you can feel that on this online retreat too. You saw how Dirk and Vera and all of them are just so transparent, sharing their embarrassments, sharing their doubts, sharing their fears, just practicing the transparency. And then, as Darren was saying, he started to feel like the love pouring through from all of the participants. He said it was surprising. It never happened before. He started to feel the love coming through everyone. And I'm sure just with you sharing what you did, that's part of it. He's feeling the love in your heart shining through. that's like a little glimpse, like the Jesus, the ultimate master optometrist, who's the master at correcting our vision. We think we have vision difficulty here, and he knows we're afraid of light. We're afraid of Christ vision, of spiritual vision. And yet he's playfully encouraging us to just practice being more transparent in our relationships. And the more we're able to do that, and we start to trust it instead of fearing the rejection, then we're on our way out of that very dark pattern. Rejection, and then we draw forth a witness, and we feel more rejected. Then we expose, we're rejected, we close down, we feel more closed down. You see, the ego tries to use that dynamic to keep us all kind of shut down and closed. And the spirit is saying, oh, just give it to me, and I'll use this same disclosure, this same exposure, this same wearing your heart on your sleeve with your brothers and sisters to show that it can go in a very different direction. It can go towards healing. So that's why you're at the mystery school, for a retraining, reprogramming, to go on to break the pattern, break this pattern that you've noticed has been very apparent in your life, but it need not continue. It can be intercepted by Jesus, and when he intercepts, oh wow, what comes next is so heart-opening, so beautiful. Then you start to feel the real love that's underneath. Yeah.
And that's also, it's not very foreign what you're describing to us on this spiritual journey. Our heart is just opening up, and the ego always is a filter. It's like, oh, this is who you're in love with, this is where the love lands. But it was like what David was talking about yesterday, misdirected miracle impulses is God's calling, and strong and strong and strong. And that's part of the reason why we are so focused on service and projects, because we know behind it there's so much energy that's going to be released, so much love, and we want the spirit to direct that energy to serve him. So that's where we get into collaboration, and we work in relationship, but it's in a service to the spirit. And you will find the love just goes more and more deep, but it's very, very channeled towards the service. So I want to encourage you and also knowing that you're in the perfect place.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful. Well, I think we need to wind down soon, but Francis, you want to take another participant, or do you have any inspired thoughts coming?
Well, actually, I know we have 3 more hands, but when Darren was talking about the vision, the eye operation, and then with Esther, you're talking about the vision, and with Bhavna as well, there's this, we want to have the spirit direct us to see, see him, see his miracles. That actually reminds me of our next online retreat. We're getting into this theme of vision for the next online retreat. So I just want to take this opportunity to say that is really where the transformation happens, to hold this the vision of the Christ in our everyday desire. That's what we want to see, despite of what the ego is screaming in our mind. See the pain, see the problem, see the wrongness, but the spirit is, no, I have something else. I behold your helpfulness, I behold your willingness, and this is what we tap into, to actually join in the Christ vision of something different together next month.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because next month is January, and oftentimes January and January 1st is associated. It's a new beginning. It's the beginning of a new year. Jesus even does that in the Course. He says, make this year different by making it all the same. So he's like giving us a Jesus Christ New Year's resolution. He's so practical. He's even got a New Year's resolution, make this year different by making it all the same. And I think it's profound, this idea of Christ vision, because some of you who have done the workbook lessons know that there's those lessons pretty early on about I am determined to see. I am determined to see things differently. Above all else, I am determined to see. Above all else, I am determined to see things differently. You see how he's working his focus on Christ's vision, because he's talking about spiritual vision. He's talking about light. He's not talking about the body's eyes at all. When he's using those lessons, he's inviting us into a spiritual vision, a Christ vision experience. He's inviting us into the light. He's inviting us to let go of our reliance on the five senses and on our fragmented perception. And he's saying, here, come inside with me. Like Darren was saying, he's like shining that light into the darkened space. And he's saying, let me light everything up. Let me light your whole mind up. And then you'll see the way I see. You'll see the way God sees, which is light, pure love and light. So yeah, that's a beautiful reminder that's really what our focus is. We tend to think in terms of logistics, like, well, I would like to solve this specific issue or this logistic, but Jesus is really always reminding us, no, it's not so much trying to find a specific logistic that will resolve things for you in your world, but it's more like, come inside with me and let me show you how to rest in God's love, and then you will feel what you've always wanted to feel. Whereas the logistics, we solve one problem and then there seems to be 4 or 5 more that are coming around the bend, and then we just get into problem solving with logistics, thinking that we're a good person, that we can solve problems on the level of form, and we're competent and we're mature. And then Jesus is saying, no, rest, come and rest in me. Come and rest in me. See that all things have already been resolved in me. So I'm so grateful for these online retreats and our movie workshops, and maybe we just stay wide open to 2022. If any of you have, let's say it's like a digital suggestion box. If you have prayers, send them to our digital suggestion box. If you have whims, like, wow, wouldn't it be fun if we did this or did that? We love new ideas. We feel the Spirit comes through everyone, and we're always open to new ideas. And that's really what we're excited about, is just staying wide open to what's given, what's shown to us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Such an honor to spend every month with you in this way and wrap up the year in this way. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.